All right, everybody, how are y'all doing? I am your host, James Bouligny for Hoops. I have my co-host with me, Ryan Chadwick and Paul Harris. How are we doing, guys?
Doing good, James. What's up, James? Glad to be here.
So am I. All right, we're going to get into all the games from Tuesday and some of the games from last week, but before we do, let's hear a quick word from Whataburger.
The Honey Butter Chicken Biscuit at Whataburger, available from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. But it's not that time right now. Once again, our desires are denied by, ooh, look, the Honey Barbecue Chicken Strip Sandwich. That'll hold us over till 11 p.m. What a burger.
All right, Chadwick, you and I were at the Central games last night, Tuesday night. Central girls won, and pretty just great defense. I mean, they played really scrappy. I didn't realize they only had one senior on their team. What about the boys' game?
Well, first off, congratulations to the girls. They secured third place with that win, so they are going back to the playoffs. But in that boys' game, it was another chapter in what has become a storied rivalry. And what would a rivalry be without some controversy? It was a back-and-forth defensive battle. It didn't really seem like either team was gaining much an advantage until Permian kind of worked the rules a little bit to their advantage in the third quarter. Central wanted to play back in half-court defense, and Permian would not play their game, so they just sat there and dribbled the ball at half-court until Central changed their defense. I think at one point Permian held the ball for over a minute just standing there dribbling. Say what you want, it was not a popular decision with the fans, but it was an effective strategy implemented by their coach. In the fourth quarter, however, what was so far an amazing game, like I said, defensive battle back and forth, low scoring, but key shots were being made when each team would enter runs. That all changed when the refs decided that they weren't the biggest stars of the show, and they decided to make themselves the biggest stars of the show when they called Central for two back-to-back technical fouls. Now, it was a play. It was an excellent play by TK Taylor. He made a spin move on the inside, went up, dunked it around a very crowded rim. You can kind of see him looking below him to see if he had room to land. He pulls himself up to give himself a little extra time and then lets go. He's on the rim for maybe a second and a half, but apparently that's an automatic technical foul because the refs assessed that immediately. And understandably, at that point in the game, as close as it is, Central had just made a little run to almost tie it. The Central bench erupts, in protest. They're not happy about it, and it wasn't even like a prolonged protest, a bunch of negative comments being made, but the refs immediately assessed either the assistant coach, maybe it was the bench, with another technical foul. So two calls from the refs immediately changed the momentum of that game. Permian only ended up making 2 of the 4 free throws that they got, but they got that extra possession, and it forced Central to go into comeback mode, which they've done several times this year. They did against Permian last week, or Friendship last week, and it's like, even though that this team is good this year, it seems like that situation keeps happening where something completely out of their control like that. But anyway, Central comes back, takes the lead. Takes a 1-point lead, but then Permian battles back. It's a great finish all the way through, and then Permian scores at the buzzer to beat the Bobcats. And it was tough because, say what you want, but Central lost by 2, and they got that free basket for absolutely nothing. So it was very frustrating to see that the refs completely affect another outcome of the game. And you can say that Central had plenty of opportunities to close it out before that, but man, that was a huge district game for the Bobcats. At home, full crowd, and I don't know. I'm trying not to just completely bash the refs, but it was not a good look last night.
No, man, go ahead and bash it. That's all the media's doing now is bashing refs at high school, college, NFL. Go ahead and do it.
Okay, so this is on the heels of last weekend when the Texas Tech Red Raiders played in Houston against number 5 Houston. In the first 5 minutes, a completely incidental contact off of a pass ended up being assessed after replay as a flagrant 2, and Tech's first or second best player, JT Toppin, was ejected in the first 5 minutes. Coach McCaslin was ejected right after that for arguing Toppin's case, and so Tech, in the biggest matchup of their season against the number 5 team of the country, they're already down a man. So I go from covering that to immediately cover my Bobcats, and you know, that call had nothing to do with attitude, nothing to do with coming after referees. It had nothing to do with how good these two teams are, or which team is better than the other, and it affects the outcome of the game. So I'm not exactly riding high on the completely. Well, how would you describe it, Paul? Because when refs assess technicals, it's not like they're looking for something, especially on the second one that they called on the bench. It's like it's just completely up to their discretion.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't there. Surely it seems like the refs being hypersensitive there. Like, it's an emotional game. How do you not react? How does the bench not react after a great dunk? The comeback, they're just defending their guy. I mean, it's a natural reaction. If they're not berating the official, if they're not crossing the line. It
straight up was just like one tech was assessed, the whole bench erupts, and then the second tech was assessed. So I didn't hear if someone on the bench actually said something that the ref heard. So maybe that's the case. Maybe someone lost their temper a little bit, but it was so fast, and I was just like, you can't do that. You can't call. I understand if you have to call the first one because that's the rule. Don't call the second one.
Yeah, there's
just
a better way to
everybody
handle it.
Down.
You can go over there and issue a warning. You've already given a possession and the two technical free throws, so it's just a huge moment in the game. I hate to see that, and we defend the refs. A lot of times here too. There were some times during football season where we had some debates over it, trying to defend the refs. I hate when it takes away, especially from a great game like that. At least Tech was able to overcome it and get the win still. With Central, it's just kind of a what if now if that didn't happen.
Right. Well, and there was a moment too. Central's up by 4 late. Instead of basically they get a steal, they have an opportunity to basically put this game on ice, because I think at this point there's like a minute and a half left. But they dribble it down. Squeak has a completely empty lane all the way down to the basket, and he takes it. It was one of those where the ball touches every part of the rim and then falls out, and so he doesn't score. TK gets the rebound. He doesn't score, and then Permian grabs it, takes it to the other end, almost scores immediately, gets a foul, completes the and one. Now they're only down by 1, right? So there was an instance where if Squeak just, and not even just saying it's all on him, but let's say that the Bobcats just hold the ball, let the offense get set back up, make Permian foul them. So there's a mental aspect to that too. So the Bobcats could have closed them out. Right. So taking nothing away from the Permian Panthers, they played amazing last night, and they were tough against when they fell down late. And that buzzer beater, it wasn't like a deep shot or nothing. It was a drive. The guy who scored it took the ball completely cross court in 5 seconds and did a layup. So he got from one to the other within that 4.8 seconds or whatever, and put it up with 0.4 seconds left on the clock. Time expires as it goes in. Bobcats lose. So it was a very tough loss for the Bobcats. And I know this is basically a monologue at this point, but man, you got to think if those two techs aren't called, Central, instead of being up by 4 in that situation, they're up by 6 to 10. So because I honestly think the Bobcats were the better team last night. They shot better from beyond the arc. They shot better inside, and they turned the ball over less than Permian did. But it doesn't matter sometimes,
Central should still be third in that district heading into the playoffs, and they've had some really strong showings against Permian and Friendship, except for the Permian game when they didn't have Taylor. Mm-hmm. But hopefully this will benefit them, and because they've shown that they can, play in tough circumstances and come back when they have to. So hopefully they can shake it off, just finish district strong. And
right, they're going to surprise whatever 1 seed that they end up playing in the playoffs, because they're going to be like, oh, these guys are good, So.
All right, Paul, go ahead and talk about Menard and Paint Rock real quick. You were out at Paint Rock last night. What'd you see? The girls' game seems like it kind of got out of hand a little bit.
Well, yeah, that's an understatement. Yeah, I mean, the Menard girls are top 25 team in the state, and it was a huge mismatch, and they ran away to a huge win over Paint Rock. In the boys' game, first place is on the line. Menard is undefeated in district. Paint Rock's only loss was to Menard by 12 in Menard, so I expected a good game and definitely got that. Paint Rock led a lot of the first half. It was a tie game at halftime. And, Menard, just pulled away in the second half. They opened the second half with an 11-2 run and just kind of took control. Really was an exciting game, though, too, just because the top 2 scorers were a freshman and a sophomore. Paint Rock, Ezra Ruiz was his name, freshman, scored 20 points. I mean, I'm really impressed by his offensive arsenal and what he was doing out there. I did not know he was a freshman until after the game. And then Menard's top kid, Eli Weatherly, sophomore, scored 24 points, hit 5 threes. So, these kids could be going at it for a few more years. But Menards has some basketball pedigree. It was good to see, Paint Rock. They had a tough football season. That young, really young team. I think their whole team's freshmen and sophomores, except for a couple seniors. So it was good to see Paint Rock show some glimpses of what they could be capable of in the future. And they're still sitting in great position to take second place in that district. Menard really clinched the district title. I mean, they're up 2 with 2 to go. So they should be able to take care of business and finish it off. But really a pretty exciting game. Menard held on for a 50-40 win. I was glad I got to get out there and see those 2 small schools go at it.
All right. And then our guy up in South Plains, Nick Thompson, he went to the Farwell-Olton game. Farwell's kind of been a thorn in the Lady Cougars side a couple of years in a row.
We had to go do some scouting, right?
Yeah, we had to do some scouting because I told Nick, I need this game. I need eyes on Farwell. And Farwell beat Olton 73-35. Paul, you've looked at the standing at the rankings. Is Cristobal ranked yet?
No, Cristobal's still not ranked. I guess they're just going to fly right in under the radar.
I mean, is that a bad place to be, though? If you know that your squad's one of the best teams in the state and no one else recognizes that?
I think it's a good thing for Cristobal.
Yeah.
Why not fly under the radar? They know how good they are. They've been there.
Let's face it, though. If you're about to play a team, they know how good you are. Teams from last year understood that Cristobal was turning pretty much everybody. They knew Hallie Hughes was still going to be there. They knew Madison George was still going to be there. They knew that team was still coming back. So it's not like they're really flying under the radar. I think at this point, it hurts the validity of that ranking at this point to not have them on there at all season long. Now we're hitting the playoffs. They're still not on there. What's going to happen when we get to the final 8? Are they still not going to be in those final teams? I mean, at this point, it's hurting the rankings, I think, to not have them ranked at all anywhere. What do you think?
I mean, I agree with you, man. Like, I think it's beneficial to Cristobal, but the fact that they're not even number 25 at this point, I don't understand.
I mean, they're undefeated in district. I think they've only lost to ranked teams. They beat San Saba, and San Saba was on there. So, and I'm not taking anything away from San Saba, but at this point, it's like who's got an axe to grind,
Who's voting on this,
Exactly. So, I mean, anyway, I don't know what to say about it.
Hey, go win yourself a state championship, and then you can't say nothing. I guarantee they'll be ranked next year.
I don't know about that. All right. Other results from Tuesday. Estacado swept Lakeview. The boys lost 80-41.
But we need to note that Lakeview dropped 41 points. Estacado is a top 5 team in 4A, and we've covered them several times this year. Incredible talent. They are going to make a state title run, and this was I know that the score looks bad, but that Lakeview offense continues to develop and continues to come along. I definitely see Lakeview winning a playoff game this year.
All right, moving on to 6A. The Friendship girls beat Midland Legacy girls 78-26. The boys Friendship team beat Midland High 72-34. Down to 5A. Tascosa beat Coronado 53-30 on the boys' side. Amarillo High beat Lubbock Cooper 42-23. And Lubbock High 55, Plainview 50. It's their first district win this season. And Palo Duro Monterey got in a good one, 72-68, Palo Duro. To the girls, Tascosa beat Coronado 61-44. Amarillo High beat Lubbock Cooper 94-58. Plainview beat Lubbock High 47-46. That's a great one right there. Monterey beat Palo Duro 84-39. All right, what else do we have on here, Chadwick?
And of course, that Aaliyah Chavez news out there in that Monterey game. She has been named a semifinalist for the Naismith Award for the best player in basketball in the nation. So, congratulations to her.
Now to some 3A ball. The Wall girls beat Cornerstones, San Antonio Cornerstones 62-52, and the Wall boys lost to Jayton. Jayton is just tearing it up in athletics this year. They won his football state championship. Now they're ranked, number 1?
Yep,
number
number
2
1
in the boys?
Basketball, too. Yeah.
52-45, Jayton. And TLCA beat Merkel 68-45. And when we come back, we'll have our Carpet Tech Player of the Week, well, for Contra Valley and the South Plains. But before we do, here's a quick word from Carpet Tech.
When I was at work and my daughter called and said, "Mom, there's water in the basement."
There was quite a bit of water in our carpet.
There's water coming out your front door.
And I saw water coming out of the garage closet.
I called Carpet Tech.
I really felt like I was being treated professionally and personally and friendly.
They came in, they said, "Don't worry about this, we're gonna get it taken care of."
I think what matters the most to me is that I feel comfortable and that I can trust them.
All right, we have two players, one from the Contra Valley, one from the South Plains. Northern South Plains, I guess. Paul, go ahead and talk about this guy. He plays for Menard, right? Yeah, Menard?
Yep, that's that sophomore I was talking about, Eli Weatherly. 24 points, 5 threes, and really, it was big threes too. He hit a 3 right before the buzzer to tie the game going into halftime. Hit some big threes to help Menard pull away. So, not just the point total, but big points for them and helped push them over the top and deliver a district title. All
right. And for our South Plains player, we went up to Farwell for this one. Landry Ritchie, 22 points over Olton. Of course, Farwell also returned a lot of players from last year's team as well, and they're solid again. So that'll be, if Cristobal does match up with them, that'll be a great matchup late in the playoffs. But we're getting to some game previews for tonight. Before we do, though, here's a quick word from Jim Bass Ford.
Right now at Jim Bass, scan our QR code and find great deals on cars and trucks. Right now, you can get a brand new 2024 Ford Ranger, just $31,777.
You can only get deals like this at Jim Bass Ford, Houston, Hart and Arden Road, or 24/7 at bassbus.com, or you can scan this QR code.
It's QR code, boss.
That's what I said, QR code or QR code.
All right, some game previews. We have Central at Midland Legacy, Water Valley at Very Best, and Jim Ned at Wall. What do we know about those ones? I know Water Valley and Very Best, that's going to be a great matchup, Paul.
Yeah, really that district, man. I mean, I would say the top 5 teams in that district could all possibly beat each other on any given night. 4th place Garden City took down Robert Lee, who was the district leader on Tuesday night, and then Water Valley lost to Erie County. So Erie County has gone from 3rd, suddenly they're in 1st place in the district now. But really, I'd say those top 4 teams is Robert Lee, Water Valley, Erie County, Garden City. All 4 of those are district title contenders. And then poor Very Best, just like in football, they're the odd man out. They could be the odd man out of the 5th place team in that district. But, I mean, they're capable. They've been right there with some of the other teams. Would not stun me if they're able to beat Water Valley and shake up the standings even a little bit more.
No, I like that district's super competitive. Even in football, it was always, just a gauntlet of great teams. You had Erie County and Robert Lee, Very Best. It was all 3 of them kind of just cycling and who's going to make it, who's going to not, because only 2 teams make it in football. And it's good to know that competition is still there in basketball. Jim Ned and Wall, the Wall boys, Stansberry's playing extremely well. Jim Ned is an extremely good team, and that's going to be a great game. And then Central Midland Legacy, Chadwick, you want to talk about that?
Well, with the loss of Permian, it kind of puts Central behind the ball, and it pretty much puts like any share of a district title out of reach at this point. They really needed that win over Permian. But if they win against Legacy, they pretty much secure at least 3rd place and a playoff berth. When Legacy came to town last time, Central beat them by 30 points. So, the Bobcats are the better team in this situation, but they have to go on the road and they have to win on the road, which is never easy to do in District 2-6A. But they got to go take care of business, and it's not going to be easy.
All right. Other notable matchups: Lakeview at Levelland, Lanham at Brady, TLCA at Clyde, Reagan County at Forest, Cristobal at El Dorado, and Roscoe at Jayton. Which one of those matchups y'all most excited about?
I'm really interested in that Roscoe at Jayton matchup. It just seems like Jayton is just flattening anyone that they're coming
like
across.
The Benjamin this year.
Yeah, seriously, man. I'm excited, one, because it's another South Plains school that has a chance to go win a state championship, just like they did in football. But Jayton's punching above their weight class right now too. It's like they don't have anyone to really challenge them on 1A, so they keep putting 2A, 3A, 4A teams on their schedule.
Yeah, they just lost to Wall. Wall's a 3A, and they've always had a solid team at Wall.
Well, they just beat Wall.
Yeah, beat Wall.
So, I'm really interested in that one. Whenever the playoffs start, of course, it's one of those anyone can win at any time. It's just March Madness. That's why the tournament's so great. But I like how they're preparing themselves by keep scheduling opponents that are supposed to be better than them.
Well, certainly bigger than them. I mean, so I think I'm most excited for the Reagan County Forsan matchup. That's kind of a good one. Forsan's one of those sneaky teams that they beat Cristobal. Cristobal has very much had a roller coaster this year, but when they're good, they're good. And Forsan beat them a few weeks ago, and Reagan County seems to be catching fire. They're going to be looking like that ranked team, looking like they got one of the best players in the Contra Valley on that roster. What about you, Paul?
I think Lakeview Levelland is a great game. Went to overtime here in San Angelo a few weeks ago. If Lakeview wins this, they lock up third place. They've already locked up a playoff spot. And not only do they lock up third, if they win it, did they have a chance to even tie Liberty for second. So it's really exciting to see Lakeview having some success and see if they can go on the road and pick up a big win and lock up third place.
It's a testament to Coach Blisky's program. He's really been working with these boys for a while now. I remember that there's been some games over the past 2 years where he just kind of scratches our head. He's like, we're gonna keep working, So congratulations to Coach Blisky. But yeah, it's great to see Lakeview, finding that success.
All right. Final thoughts, anybody? Anything? I mean, we do have the girls' playoffs starting next week. Yeah,
and there's a lot of games here in the Contra Valley. There'll be games at Central, games at Lakeview, games in Ballinger. I've not seen any at the Janelle Center just yet. They usually get some games going on there. So the first round of action on Monday and Tuesday, we'll have some stuff people can get to that's close.
Yeah, well, and then in District 2-6A, Friendship and Central and all them, they're going. They all have to go out west. They're those matches. Some of those matchups came out, and they're all playing El Paso schools. So looks like
trips to the desert, huh?
Yeah, looks like I'm doing a little bit of driving next week, boys.
All right. Well, for Paul Harris, Ryan Chadwick, and myself.